my name is Joey Balistreri. I am having so much fun. I can barely even start filming for laughing at myself. I am wearing today's project. Look how adorable this is. I have seen these all over social media for quite a few years, and I've always wanted to play with this because I think they're adorable. I had a dollhouse as a little girl, and it was just like really appealing to me, and it's just like a fun weekend project. It doesn't take much of anything. I've turned my little people into a sweet little bracelet using a craft store enamel chain. Just a really fun piece. I do a lot of very elegant, almost fine jewelry, fine looking, I'm sorry, let me try that again. Jewelry that looks like fine jewelry from a jewelry store, but not all of our jewelry has to be so serious and so elegant and formal. Sometimes it is just fun to make something fun and, be fun. And we're coming into the season when it's spring, the end of spring, summer, and colorful clothes and, beach wear and that kind of thing. So I'm going to do these little people with you. It doesn't take much of anything to create these little guys, and you can turn them into pendants, earrings, charms. I connected my little girls and boys to make the bracelet, and I'm just going to show you I'm going to show you something. I'm going to come back in another video for this one, and I'm going to show you this for the scale and for the what you can do with different looks. But this is my little mermaid. Her name is Seychelle. I have to introduce you to her, and she is done with a little bit larger seed beads and some different elements, and she is connected a different way so that I could make her hair, and she has some little seashells and sequins on her, and she is going to be a pendant. I've done a rather large bail here so that she can go on a leather cord with summer wear, or a gold chain if I do have a little beach holiday scheduled, and I'm going to bring her with me. So this is going to be in another video, but I just wanted to show you because the technique is very similar with some little tips and tricks for the different shapes. So I'm going to set her aside and show you what goes into this project. This is my little beading tray, and as you can see, not very much of anything. These are 8/0 seed beads. These are 11/0 seed beads. I have some twisted bugle beads, so let me put this down and put the little people here so we can look at them as our sample. And I'll just show you, to give you an idea where we're going with the project. Her hair and her body is with the 8/0 seed beads, but then her arms and part of the flesh color is a 11/0 seed beads. So you can actually mix them. And then here's the bugle beads for her tail. And on these guys are mostly 11/0 seed beads, but I did find that it was cute to use an 8/0 seed bead to make the little shoes and the little bows on the piggy tails. For the boy, his little shoes are in the 8/0. So combining the two sizes gives you a little bit more dimension and detail. And when you're making something so small, whatever detail that you can add in is really great. So also for Seychelle, I have used a 10mm pearl for her head. And the reason that I did that is because I'm using mostly 8/0 seed beads. So a little larger scale pearl or bead for the head looks really nice, but also I wanted to have more of a hair situation for the mermaid, so a little bit larger. And then I have these gemstone, they're like nondescript gemstone beads in 8mm for the little boy and girl. And again, because I'm doing 11/0 seed beads, and honestly, I don't know, I didn't try it, but I think maybe even a 6mm bead for the little boy and girl might work. I didn't try it. I had these kind of fleshy toned beads, and that worked really well. And what you will need for stringing these is a 28 gauge wire. I just have this spool of antique bronze from the craft store, and you don't need very much. I'm going to start with, I give myself 12 to 13 inches to start off with, and we're going to start with the little boy because he's slightly less involved than the little girl. So I'm going to take his head bead, this 8mm bead, and thread that on. And then I have some brown seed beads here for his hair, but you could do black. I used the yellow to make kind of blonde hair. You can really have fun. You could even do a colored bead, you know, and just do these like really, really colorful. But this was kind of my take on this little art form. So put the head on and 7 brown seed beads in my case. Okay, so it looks like that. The head and 7 brown seed beads. And now I'm going to wrap these beads. I want to be around about in the center and wrap these beads around the top of his head. Now you guys, I'm going to do my very best to keep my fingers out of the way and pause and show you what things look like so that if you want to do this project, you have full instructions. But I do have to make the piece, and like 11 seed beads are really small, so you know I do have to have my hands in the camera. I recently got a complaint and I went back and watched my video because I thought I really tried to show you what I'm doing, but I actually do have to make the piece. I can't levitate over the beads. So anyway, it looks like that, and I'm going to wrap this around, and then I'm going to take this wire that the beads are on and go back through the 8 or the head seed bead, and you just want to like loop it like that so that you're not kinking your wire, and just pull tight. And I do find that I don't have a lot of strength in my hands, so for pulling my beads, I like to get a plier on each side and tug, and you know that just like gets everything in place, and it's a little bit loose on your first one. And now we're going to direct these down to his body. And I'm going to start with 2. Now this could be his shirt or his, this could really be, you know, you could really do any color here, but I'm doing these kind of beigey, pearly colored beads for like, you know, for his shirt. You could do a colored shirt here, but I'm going to do these beige ones. It's the same that I did here. And so just 2 seed beads and just kind of get them centered on your 8 seed bead. And now we're going to pass this opposite wire back through those. So you have a wire coming through those beads in each direction. It's going to be a little, you know, they'll get a little bit offset, but you have plenty of chance when you pull. So see what's happened to mine, but it's no problem. It's going to do that until you get a few rows in. It's going to do that. Just push them to the center and, you know, tighten your pull. And also I noticed that it actually makes a little bit of an expression on your character when they're slightly offset. It looks like, you know, they're turning their head to the side, but that's what we have so far. And next I'm going to pick up on either strand, it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to pick up 3 of his shirt color, which in my case is this beigey cream color. And same thing, I'm going to let them drop down to my work and just kind of direct them where I want them to go. Just fold that wire over, and then I'm going to pass this wire back through in the opposite direction, crisscross. And again, just be careful not to kink your wire. Pull kind of slowly so you can watch what you're doing. And that's what we have so far. And then the next one is another row exactly like that. 3 seed beads. Doesn't really matter which side you pick up from. Let them drop down to your work and kind of fold it over and lay them right in line beneath the previous ones. Don't let them escape. And then you're going to crisscross, so the opposite wire is going to go back in the opposite direction. You really do need to hold your fingers over them, and then you just pull. So his little shirt is well on the way, and now we're going to move down into his pants. So I'm going to give him turquoise pants. So he's going to get 3 seed beads for the first row of his pants, and it's exactly the same thing. Just lay them across, kind of lined up, and feed the opposite wire that you don't have beads on back through. Careful not to kink your wire, and pull. And I see that I've got a little bit of a space right here, so before I get too far in my little boy, I'm just gonna pull. You do have to be careful with 28 gauge wire because you can break this really easily. So he looks like that, and now we're gonna do one leg gets 4 of the turquoise beads because that's his turquoise pant leg. So you have to kind of look at it as if you're designing their clothes. And then I'm going to give him a green shoe. I just have some green 8/0 seed beads, so I quite like that tiny bit bigger size for the shoe. And now I'm going to skip over the green, the shoe bead, and let that hang out and thread my wire back up through the 4 turquoise. So it looks like that. The shoe is hanging out down here. I'm going to just pull, and I'm making a loop down here. And this one is a little tricky because you have to kind of hold on to the bead you didn't run your wire through to get this nice and tight. And what I do is pull it as far as I can and then hold on to his body and pull with my pliers, and that kind of gets it into shape. And you can back it down a little bit. And now with this wire, I'm going to lace up the side, not going through the beads. So I'm going to pull this wire over here and make a loop, and I'm going to lace through the first little section there. Again, careful not to kink my wire. Keep it as round as you can. And when you pull tight, be careful not to pull your other beads out of shape. And so I'm working my way up to where his arm is going to be. So I'm going to lace up through the next loop of wire that's on the edge, not kinking. Pull it tight, but be careful not to pull your other out of shape. And then I want to go up one more for his little arm to be right about here. Okay, pull tight. And now for his shirt sleeves. So he's going to have 4 little beads for his shirt sleeve. And then I'm going to give him a little turquoise cuff to match his pants. And so here, it's going to be like probably the smallest loop you've ever made. I'm just going to take my round nose pliers right here and wrap this wire around. And I want to get, because this is 28 gauge wire, I'm going to keep rotating my pliers until I have wrapped. See what I'm going to do? Just like move those till I have gotten 2 full loops for his hands and for the connecting. And then just get in there and wrap this around. You can use your pliers if you need to. Make sure you're not grabbing your last bead, and just give a few wraps. Just a few, and it just like gives a little bit of strength to this very fine gauge wire. Then when I take my round nose pliers away, I can snip this little bit of excess and tidy anything up, tuck anything, straighten the loop. And so one side of him is done, and I'm going to repeat the exact same thing on this side. He gets 4 turquoise beads, and skip the little green bead and go back up through the 4 turquoise. Okay, and then I'm going to lace up the side just the way we did the other side. Repeat what we did on the other side. And same thing, going to make a little double loop here for connecting him. And my little boy is done, and you can play with him a little bit to, you know, kind of have his arms and legs and feet going the way you want. Just twist the wire, but the little boy is done and he's ready to get connected. And so now for the little girl, I'm going to take about another 12 inches. You will have a little bit, you don't even really need the 12 inches, but you kind of need a working wire when you're doing this. I found it's a little bit easier to pull if you have a little bit of extra working wire. And it starts out the same way with the 8mm bead for her head and the 7 beads, exactly the same way. Okay, once you have the 7 beads and it's pulled really tight around the top of her head, and we have 1 wire coming out the right hole of the bead and 1 wire coming out the left, we're going to do her pigtails and her bow. So she gets 1 of the brown beads, her hair color, and then whatever color you want her bow to be. And I'm going to do pink, and I did go up to the 8mm seed bead to make the bow a little bit more pronounced. You can do it all with the same size seed bead if you want to, but I did this and I thought it was cute. So another hair color and another bow color, and so it looks like that. It's 1 of each. And now I'm going to skip all these last 3 and just feed my wire through the first hair color or brown bead and run it back through the head to the other side and pull. Again, trying not to kink your wire. I have a little, kind of a little bend in the end, so it means it's good to straighten as you go along, because as you work down your little girl, it will be easier. And pull it nice and tight. And you can hand sculpt a little bit, like line up your beads to make her bow and her pigtail. And we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. Pull this nice and tight. And put a brown a pink, a brown, and a pink. And same thing, make a loop and only go back through the brown, the first brown seed bead, and wiggle it through to the other side. Since we have a little pigtail on this side, you'll see your wire comes out right there. And get a hold of it slowly, gently, don't kink your wire, pull. And just make sure that everything is in place and snuggled down where you want it before you go on to the next bit. This is where I found 2 pairs of pliers really helped me. Okay, so when you have those nice and tight, we're going to direct them down and get them kind of to the center of the head. Her little pigtails are done, and we're going to do the top of her dress. So I think I'm going to do her with let me do an orange top. So I'm going to start out with just 2 seed beads, the same way that we did with the little boy. And the little girl is just a tiny bit different. I'll show you when we get down to make it look like she has on a skirt rather than pants. And so I'm just going to kind of center those 2 seed beads and run my opposite wire, thread it through, crisscross, and pull, and kind of get them in the center the way we did the little boy before you go on. And next she gets 3 of her the top part of her dress color, and same thing, kind of fold it over and get them in place, and crisscross your other wire through those three. Come back to the opposite side. Always you'll have one wire coming out on either side. This last little seed bead does not want to fall in line. There he goes. So like that, and it really doesn't matter. These are two-sided, so it really doesn't matter which way which side you work on. And for me, I just don't have a lot of strength in my hands, so I was careful, but I did use my pliers to pull. And then her next, I'm going to switch colors here for the bottom part of her dress, and I'm going to go to this beautiful dark pink, and I'm going to put 4 seed beads on for this part of her dress. And same thing, lay it in line, kind of center it beneath my 3, and crisscross the opposite wire through those. And then once I get this through, this is the part of the little girl that is different, and I'll try to go slowly so you can see what happens here. Once that's pulled tight, this time I want to put one of those pink seed beads on either side. So I'm going to put one on this side and let it drop down, and then I'm going to pick up one on the left hand side and let that drop down. And then I'm going to take either wire. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put 3 on my right hand side, 3 seed beads, and those are the 3 that I'm going to cross my opposite wire through. And so that makes the bottom of her dress, but then her legs coming out from underneath the dress. So let me pull a little bit, and I'll get my fingers out of the way and show you. Okay, so it looks like that. The 2 that we dropped down are here, and then we only crossed through those 3. And now it's the same thing. You just pull, 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 pull. And so that gives her the look of a little skirt. And now her legs can come here, kind of like they're coming out from underneath her skirt. And for the legs, you can design it any way you want. You could do them all the same color. I'm gonna do 1 pink and then 2 kind of flesh colored. 1 pink and then 2 flesh color. Oops, I lost a bead. And then I'm going to choose a color for her little shoes. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to do 2 pink and then 2 flesh color. I want her legs to be a little bit longer, but this is where you can really design their little clothes and their shape however you want them. You could make their arms and legs a little bit shorter, but I kind of like the 2 of the dress color coming off and then 2 of the flesh color. And then I'm going to choose her shoe color. I'm going to give her turquoise shoes. That looks pretty. And then it's the same thing. I'm going to go up through those 4 seed beads that we just added, leaving out the shoe color. But then again, the little girl is slightly different from the boy. Let me pull this one the way we have been. And then on the little girl, you also want to run this wire up through the last seed bead on the row before. And that just makes her legs go in place really nicely. Again, go slowly, don't kink your wire. I think I have it. I'll just give it a pull. Pull everything nice and tight. And then it's going to be the same thing we did on the little boy, where you do a whip stitch with the wire through your side loops up to the position where you want her arm to go. So one more. Just loop it through like that. And we are ready for her arms, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to put 2 pink beads for her dress color, 2 flesh colored beads, and her turquoise shoe. And same thing, feed the wire up through the flesh color and the two pink colors and pull that. Pull, 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 pull. It really does help to put your thumb and forefinger over your work. And then we also want to go through that last little skirt color. And try to keep this from kinking. Keep your loop kind of big as you pull. Gently so we don't mess up our shape. And same thing, whip stitch up the side of the little girl to get her arm in position. And now for her dress, you could really design it any way that you want. I'm going to give her dress sleeves, so I'm going to do 3 of the color that I used for the top of her dress, and then 1 little flesh color bead. Whoops, I want her arms to be, I'm going to do 4 of her dress color. 4 of her dress color and 1 of the flesh color. So it looks like that, and same exact thing. Put a double loop in here, rotate your pliers and get a double loop in there. Get your pliers out of the way, whatever you have to do to wrap twice. And get a couple wraps around to secure it. And same exact thing on this side. She's going to get 4 of her sleeve color and 1 flesh and a loop. And these adorable little people are done. These are so fun. From here you can do what I did. You could make a bracelet so this rests on your arm. You could turn this into a necklace. Obviously, like if you did like a 16 or 18 inch necklace, then this would lay right flat on the skin. Let me move this out of the way. But this is so sweet as a gift. If you have a grandmother that you need a gift for, you could make one little person for it to represent each of her grandchildren. These are so cute. I did put some jump rings out here because you could put a jump ring right through the top of their hair and make earrings out of these. You can just loop your jump ring right here and, you know, make a little earring out of these, little boy and girl earrings. You can have so much fun. A bracelet and earring set would be really cute for moms, you know, if you wanted to do one to represent each of their kids, or, you know, if you have a friendship gift to give, if you have like a little group of friends that you guys always hang out together, doing one for each of the friends in the group. They're so whimsical and delightful and joyful and colorful and just so much fun. So I will put some pictures up at the end, and I'll put links to anything that I can put links to. But honestly, in this one, my chain here is a craft store item, and you could really use any chain that you have. I used all leftover seed beads and leftover beads from boxes. It doesn't take much of anything. My 28 gauge wire is also a craft store item, so I don't know that I'll have much to link after this video because it doesn't take much of anything to create this delightful little project. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun with this as much as I did, and I will be back in another video to show you how I did Seychelles. I do have to make another one of these for the little girl that I babysit because both of us are going to need mermaid pendants this summer as we hang out together, so she needs one. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody.